Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever I find you. Today we are, as the title suggests, talking about projectors and when are those sneaky situations where you actually don't need to receive an invite. Now, this video is going to be most useful for you if you're a projector who has been playing with human design for a long time. Two groups of people. People have been playing with human design for a long time and you're starting to question, as a projector, when can I break the rules? When can I break the rules? Like when I get a sense to act and I can see really clearly that I'm not waiting for the invitation, like, can I just trust my body wisdom on that? This is also going to be helpful for you if you're quite new to human design and you're like, man, these rules, is it even worth following? I'm a projector. I know I'm supposed to wait for the invitation, but that feels so limiting. Now, I have done lots of videos on waiting for the invitation as a projector. I'm a projector. I've been my whole life because that's how the game goes. But I have been playing with human design for 11 and a half years at this point. And I have pushed and shoved and tried to hack my way through the projector strategy in so many different ways and heard so many different teachings on it. So I feel very well versed and experienced to be able to answer this question that came in from an email subscriber. Now, this video might be helpful if you are very well versed in human design and you're serving projectors, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you're never going to be able to feel the thing that I'm talking about. So the only way it might be useful for you if you're another person serving a projector clients is if you are really willing to share resources with them from other human design teachers so that projector can come and learn this particular lesson from me, because if you're another human design type, you're never going to know what this feels like, which is why I'm such a fan of people having an opportunity to learn from their own human design type. Okay, so let's have a look at what this question was. I've got it here. It's quite long. So this was a question that was asked by an email subscriber. By the way, if you're not on the email list, there's a link in the video description to jump on that list, because that is the first and best place, the first place that I always put any sort of new offers, any opportunities to get early access to anything. It's always in that email list. Okay, so this projector asked this. How does an invitation work with renting or buying a place to live? Here's how it popped up for me recently. I received an email from Zillow, which is a real estate company that sends out emails about new houses on the market in whatever country this person is from. Although I have been looking on and off for 8 years and I was getting pretty fed up, the email indicated that this place was in my price range and the first photo looked appealing, so I clicked on it. After just a few photos, I knew. They wrote this in capital letters. So I set a time to go and see it. The moment I walked in, I knew, more capital letters. So, this person was really, really clear. This is my home. This is the place I'm supposed to buy. Would you say that that email from Zillow was an invite? Okay, so very short answer, no. It's not an invite. An invitation, and I've talked about this a lot, I'll put the projector playlist up here, so that you can have a look at more of the content that I've talked about, how to wait for an invite and really how to really know what an invitation is. But the short version is an invitation is some person specifically reaches out somehow and invites you to do something. So if somebody had said, hey, I've just received this email from Zillow and I think that this would be an amazing house for you, and they've just forwarded you that email or they've showed it to you on the phone, on their phone, like over coffee or something, that would be an invitation. But if somebody hasn't specifically handpicked you or gone and opened a door, I've talked about this in other videos, opened a door for you, it's not an invite. Now, here's the thing. I would say that in 95 to 99% of situations, it is very clear to me now, for how much I have practiced waiting for the invitation, that we as projectors need to wait for the invitation almost always. Now, I have talked about in other videos how if we're doing something like I didn't need an invitation to start this YouTube channel. I don't need an invitation to talk to topics that I know are really beneficial to my community. As long as I'm clear that I want to authentically express myself in this context, then that's correct. And I have talked about that in other videos. So like have a look through the projector playlist for videos talking about that. So there are situations where it is about us following our own flow. I don't need an invitation to decide whether I'm going to have lunch at 12 o'clock or 1 p.m. If I'm going to eat on my own, whether I'm going to do this chunk of housework or that chunk of housework, whether I'm going to work on this particular product or program in my business, or whether I'm going to work on this other one when I'm working in the background on my own. But almost all of the time as a projector, if you are a projector, if you are the person who asked this question originally, and if you are, tell us in the comments how this went for you, because I wrote down that was from an email subscriber, but I didn't save the specific email. It was a few months ago now. So I'd love to hear how it went for you. But in answer to the question, the best analogy I can think of is traffic lights or traffic signals, stoplights, whatever you call them in your country. I think it's fair to say if you drive a car, you know that in a lot of countries around the world, if they use a red for stop, an orange or an amber color for like slow down or get ready to stop or know that the lights are changing, or a green for go, if you know those color signals, you'll know that as a driver, as a default rule, every time you get to a set of traffic lights where it is red, you stop. This is the same in human design. In almost every conceivable situation, you're going to follow your human design strategy. But let's say you have got news that somebody you love is about to die, and you pull up to a set of lights that has stopped red, but there are no cars in any direction. It's in a tiny town where you're friends with the local policeman who would be happy to escort you if they knew that they could escort you to go and see your person who is dying. And you have this intuitive sense that if you don't get there sooner rather than later, you're going to miss out on your opportunity to say goodbye. If you know how to drive really well, and you have been driving for a long time, and you know that current town and that current set of traffic lights because you've been through it 1,000+ times in the last however many years, you might know, if I wait the 1 or 2 minutes for this shitty set of lights to change, I'm going to miss out on saying goodbye to my loved one. And you might choose in that situation, with everything you know about all of the consequences, you might choose to go through that red light because you can see it's safe and because you know the consequences. You can feel, I'm going to miss this person. That is a rare exception that you might choose to run through the red lights. I want to say it's the same with following a human design strategy. And especially if we just zero in on the projector and waiting for the invitation. Almost all the time, you're going to wait. But every now and again, and I don't know how to explain this, is it that there's something wacky happening with the transits? Is it that you happen to be surrounded by particular people who unlock something? I don't know. I have experienced it, but it's very, very rare. Where my intuitive sense is, I just know that I have to take action on this. But it's literally like maybe 1% of the time. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's 1 in 1,000 situations. Maybe it's 1 in 10,000. It's very, very rare. So the things that I want to reinforce is the more that you play with waiting for the invitation and gently push up against how does it work in each of these different parts of your life, you'll get to see how solid and helpful it is to wait for the invitation. And only when you know the rules so freaking well will you know deep in your bones, oh, this is the exception to the rule. And I have had times in the past where I thought that I knew the rules well enough that I thought I could break them. In fact, I did a video about talking about how I found my life partner using human design. and the total fucking mess I made in the process, because I knew I was moving to Brisbane. I knew. But the person who I met fairly soon, the romantic partner I met fairly soon after I'd had that awareness, ended up being a very dangerous, unsafe person to be in a relationship with. But I knew, I was so sure, right? So here is the problem, and I guess the caution I want to offer this advice with is, be willing to take the action if you feel really clear that you know, you sense, you feel, you have this intuitive hit to take this action, but be willing to be wrong. Please be willing to be wrong. And in doing so, if you realize that one of two things are going to happen when we take action. It's going to be aligned, and it's going to be smooth, and it's going to lead to success, and it's going to feel wonderful, and more doors are going to open, and we're going to be so happy in the short, medium, and long term. We're going to know that we made the right decision. Otherwise, it's going to be misaligned, and it's going to be clunky. We're going to start relationships that don't endure. We're going to end up with health issues. Everything is going to get harder, right? If you notice that you've gone on that track, don't beat yourself up. Just go, oh, man, I fucked it up. Damn it. What am I going to learn, and how can I extract myself from this position? Now, that might be easier to do if you've taken on a rental contract that is 6 or 12 months. It's harder to do if you've bought a house. Okay, so just think about the implications of what you say yes to. And if there's a chance that you're like, well, I'm trusting myself here, but is this old patterning? You know, our conditioned patterns of behavior can be so strong that we can convince ourselves that it's right, and actually all we're doing is playing out the old patterns. That's what I did with this previous guy in Brisbane who was dangerous, is I was playing out an old pattern, and it was so strong that it was so convincing, but it wasn't actually aligned for me. So if you feel really, really clear, like this person did, I knew, she said in capital letters, I knew that it was correct, right? Then can you give yourself, in whatever situation you're in, a lower risk opportunity to test out if it is your intuition, if it is actually genuinely correct for you, so that if you do, accidentally mess it up, because you're human like me, we all make mistakes, have you got a way that you can gently retract and correct the path, get back on the right path? Now, I just want to have a quick look through these notes. We've talked about stoplights. The other thing I've got in here is about it can be really easy if you're somebody who has a lot of, I've got a lot of perfectionist tendencies in my design. So if you're somebody like me who gets really caught up on trying to do it all right and do it all perfect, it can be easy to be a little bit dogmatic with human design and go, oh, but the rules say, right? If you feel like your body wisdom, like your whole body is saying, I need to take this action, this feels so aligned for me, and you're really not sure, and you've heard everything that I've said, ask yourself, what would you have done before you learnt about human design? And there's every chance that you would have taken the action. So I just want to encourage you to take the action if you feel really clear, but tread with curiosity and a healthy measure of caution, and just do it with your eyes wide open. If it goes smoothly, great. If it's clunky and freaking hard, pause, clean up your mess, and then try again the next time, noticing what you learned. Now, obviously, there is only so far that you can get in living true to your design by watching free videos here on YouTube. So if you know that you want more personalized support, I mean, there's a reason why I get incredible testimonials from one-on-one clients, because I can see you, I can read your chart, I can hear your specific stories, and I can tailor the ridiculous amount of stuff that I now know about human design and tapping and holding space for people, and I can personalize it all to you. So if that sounds like something you would love, if you're sick of trying to implement this stuff on your own, then check out the link for coaching options on my coaching page on my website, carolinsouthwell.com/coaching, or the link is in the description. And I will see you in the next one.